I've taken a few risks in my life, starting with one of the big risks. I was working for this large corporation and I really didn't like the job. I didn't much like the people I worked for either. And I only liked maybe three of my coworkers, or maybe like out of maybe like 30 or 40 people. I had enough experience in this particular career that I knew all I needed to know in creating a small business and start working for myself, or rather freelancing for others. I figured, well, if it doesn't work out, I have a job, so I have something to keep paying the bills. So I created my business letter and addressed it to 20 different companies like the one I worked for. I also created business cards, updated my resume, and made 20 copies of that. I sent all those out to the 20 different corporations and thought to myself, how cool would it be if I could work for myself, pick and choose who I wanted to freelance for, choose my own hourly rate, take off as many weeks of vacation as I wanted, no boss except for myself. Lack of insurance would kind of suck, but I was a very healthy woman and I was miserable where I was. I also figured if it didn't work out, no harm, no foul. Back then, we used pagers, and 2 days later, my beeper was going off like fireworks on the 4th of July. Within 30 minutes, I was solidly booked for the next 6 months. I wasn't tied to it though. I just wanted better for myself, and I wanted out of where I was currently working. So I gave my 2 weeks notice that day and worked through that Friday of the last 2 weeks. I had a free week because I'd scheduled a week to be off to clean my apartment, to sleep in a few days, and just enjoyed myself and my friends. I took a healthy risk and I wasn't needy about it. It's like my life wasn't going to fall apart if I didn't, nobody called me. But it worked out great. I made a lot of money the years that I ran that business, and then the economy collapse of 2008 happened, so the company I'd been freelancing for offered me a full-time gig, so that worked out too. It can be pretty scary to take a leap of faith, to take big risks, especially if you aren't certain it's going to work out, and even if it possibly won't work out for as long as you'd like for it to. But neither is a 9-to-5 job. Working for someone else, it's not set in concrete. Nothing is certain but death, taxes, and change. Another big risk I took was after I got married, I had a kid and divorced my husband. She was young and I was missing her so much. I missed her all the time, working that 9-to-5 gig, and I was miserable in that job. This particular company had about 5 people there, and I only liked one of them. The boss was a horrible person. I had reached my limit with him. I found a way to work from home, doing work through an online portal, and I had pretty good Wi-Fi at home, so I found a new starter client and set my hourly rate, gave my 2 weeks notice, and then I could actually be present for my child who was needing someone to talk to, someone to be at home with her, and more quality time together. Plus, I was able to pay the bills. It hasn't always been easy. I had times where I had no clients, but I was usually pretty smart when it came to saving money and also saving toward my taxes. Again, no health insurance, but thankfully I was still pretty healthy. I'm still pretty healthy. I took a risk with love when I started dating the man I would eventually marry. So that is pretty huge. I've done other things that were scary, like writing a book. I've written articles and essays, and the articles and essays did well, and I got paid for those. But the book thing is a little bit more difficult. I thought I wanted to be a writer of books, but now I'm starting to maybe change my mind about it, because though I love the book I wrote, being out there in public is not my idea of a good time. So I'm just holding back before reaching out to more agents, because as we get older, sometimes what we used to want changes, and I want to feel good in my frame and my energy. And I'm crafting my life in such a way now that it brings me joy and ease. I want to live in that sort of flowy state, not be running here and there and everywhere trying to help promote a book. I wish I could just write it, get paid for it, and write another one, and stay out of the public running around. I'd be perfectly fine living as a recluse, truly. Say all this to encourage you to figure out what it is you really want. I'm not talking about a big fancy mansion, a sports car, having a model as your significant other, and millions of dollars in the bank. I mean, nothing's wrong with wanting those things, but I'm talking about, how do you want your life to feel? What is it that you believe you might could do for a career that brings you those feelings you want to feel more often? Once you figure that out, go for it. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to take a risk. I mean, don't quit your day job unless you definitely have something you can fall back on, since we do have to pay the bills, unless you're some sort of freeloader. There's a lot of that going on in the world, and I don't recommend it. Just don't let fear stand in your way of going after what you believe will bring you joy and fulfillment. Be scared, but do the thing anyway. Do you know what you want? Have you tried to go after it? If not, what's stopping you? Tell me in the comments. And if you were courageous and took some risks, even though you might have been afraid, tell me what you did. How did it work out for you? Thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope to see you again tomorrow, where we can maybe help each other to feel better, do better, and be better. I'm sending you so much love, peace, joy, and great courage.